Season 6, also known as Day 6, of the television series 24 premiered in the United States on Sunday, January 14, 2007, the UK on January 21, 2007 and in Australia on January 30, 2007. The season's storyline began and ended at 6 a.m. It is set 20 months after the events of the fifth season. Season overview: Season 6 is set 20 months after Season 5. Over the last 11 weeks before Day 6, the United States has been targeted coast to coast in a series of suicide bombings. A man named Abu Fayed agrees to give the U.S. the location of Henry al-Assad, the supposed terrorist mastermind of these attacks, in exchange for former CTU agent Jack Bauer, with whom he has a personal grudge. As a result, President Wayne Palmer has negotiated the release of Bauer, who was illegally captured by Chinese government agents, under high-price terms. Season 6 can be divided into three main acts, with the first two overlapping somewhat. Terrorist attacks claimed thousands of American lives. Jack struggles to convince authorities that Abu Fayed is responsible and also discovers that his own family is involved. With Fayed in possession of 5 suitcase nukes, CTU races to find them to prevent another disaster from taking place. After the nukes are recovered, the Chinese manipulate Jack into giving them one of the circuit boards, elevating tensions between the United States and Russia. Major subplots: Karen Hayes clashes with Tom Lennox over the ethics of suspending civil liberties for Muslim Americans. Corrupt members of Wayne Palmer's administration attempt to have him killed so that they can take more extreme measures to find the nukes. Jack discovers that his father and brother both conspired with Charles Logan during the nerve gas crisis. Marlo Pressman develops feelings for his boss Nadia Yasser and becomes alarmed at the way CTU agent Mike Doyle treats her. Morris O'Brien struggles with the guilt he feels over giving Fayed a working detonator and almost relapses into alcoholism. Jack becomes attached to his nephew Josh and insists that losing him as collateral damage is not acceptable. Jack struggles with the fact that Audrey has been tortured by the Chinese and will need long-term care. Summary: Agent Jack Bauer, having been taken prisoner by China 20 months earlier, is released under a deal arranged by President Wayne Palmer. Jack is immediately asked to sacrifice himself to Abu Fayed, who has offered CTU Henry al-Assad, who is believed to be the terrorist mastermind behind the suicide bombings of the last 11 weeks. Jack finds out, however, that Assad is actually trying to stop the attacks, which were orchestrated by Fayed. He escapes and saves Assad, which requires him to kill Curtis Manning, who is bent on revenge. Having found out that Fayed is planning to detonate 5 suitcase nuclear bombs, CTU agents attempt to retrieve one of them, but they are too late. While crying over the loss of his friend, Jack watches in horror as a nuclear blast destroys Valencia. Jack discovers that his father Philip and brother Graham are working against CTU and have been for some time. This reunites Jack with his nephew Josh Bauer and sister-in-law Marilyn Bauer, who tells him that Audrey Raines is dead. Morris O'Brien is lured out of CTU, captured by Fayed and forced to arm the remaining nuclear bombs. After defusing one of them, Jack enlists the help of former President Charles Logan. Logan claims that his connection with the Russian Consulate General, Anatoly Markov, can help Jack find Dmitry Gredenko, a general planning to arm RQ-2 aerial drones with the bombs to attack the U.S. Dissatisfied with Wayne Palmer's leadership during the crisis, Reed Pollock and a co-conspirator named Carson plan to assassinate Palmer and frame al-Assad for it. Before Tom Lennox can prevent the attack, their bomb explodes, killing Assad and leaving Palmer in critical condition. Vice President Noah Daniels assumes executive powers and threatens retaliation. Logan fails to blackmail Markov into giving up Gredenko, so Jack breaks into the Russian consulate and tortures information out of him. President Logan convinces his ex-wife Martha to call the Russian First Lady, Anaya Suvorov. As a result, Yuri Suvorov authorizes action against the consulate by a CTU team. Jack immediately gives CTU Gredenko's location, but it is too late, as Gredenko has already launched a drone towards San Francisco. Jack manages to locate the drone's pilot and crash land the drone, but radiation is released during the crash. Noah Daniels authorizes a nuclear strike against the Middle East, but Wayne Palmer is brought out of his coma to intervene. Gredenko is captured by CTU and he agrees to help bring in Fayed in exchange for amnesty, but warns Fayed instead. Gredenko dies and Jack manages to track down Fayed. After a struggle, Jack single-handedly kills Fayed and finds the 2 remaining bombs. Jack then receives a phone call from Audrey, who is apparently still alive, and is then turned over to Cheng Zi. Cheng demands a Russian circuit board from one of the nukes, information that could start a war, in exchange for Audrey's freedom. President Palmer reluctantly authorizes Jack's plan but collapses during a press conference, allowing Daniels to assume executive duties and reverse the order. Jack goes rogue and goes through with the exchange, learning that Audrey has endured pharmaceutical torture. His plan to destroy the board fails and Cheng gets hold of it. Russia discovers that the Chinese have the circuit board and threatens military action. Cheng discovers that the board has been damaged and calls Philip Bauer to fix it. Jack gets a lead from Audrey about Cheng's location, but before they can use it, CTU is infiltrated by Chinese mercenaries, led by Zol, and most members of CTU are taken hostage. Milo is fatally shot when he steps up to protect Nadia. Jack Bauer, Mike Doyle and others are able to kill the mercenaries, and they learn that one of Philip Bauer's conditions for helping the Chinese was that his grandson Josh be delivered to him. Philip Bauer calls the White House and offers to give the circuit board for Josh, and they agree. Doyle takes Josh from Jack to go ahead with the exchange. Jack finds out about the deal and gets help from Bill Buchanan, who is working against the government. The exchange fails as Jack predicted, and Philip Bauer manages to capture Josh on an offshore oil rig while still in possession of the circuit board. Daniels decides to launch an airstrike against the oil rig, but Jack and Bill commandeer a helicopter in order to save Josh. They arrive in time to kill Cheng's men, capture Cheng alive and rescue Josh. Philip Bauer dies in the subsequent airstrike. Jack confronts Audrey's father, by whom he feels abandoned, and lashes out. Heller apologizes but convinces Jack that Audrey would be safer without him. Jack tells a sleeping Audrey that even though he loves her, he must let her go for her own sake. He walks outside to a cliff and stares off at the ocean at an uncertain future. Plot twists affecting future seasons: the death of Curtis Manning, the retirement of Bill Buchanan, Martha Logan's mental breakdown, critical injuries sustained by Charles Logan and Wayne Palmer, Chloe and Morris becoming parents, Jack's desire to no longer work for the government. Characters starring Kiefer Sutherland as Jack Bauer, Mary Lynn Rage Cub as Chloe O'Brien, D.B. Woodside as President Wayne Palmer, James Morrison as Bill Buchanan, Peter MacNicol as Tom Lennox, Jane Atkinson as Karen Hayes, Carlo Rota as Morris O'Brien, Eric Balfour as Milo Pressman, Marisol Nichols as Nadia Yasser, Regina King as Sandra Palmer. Special guest stars: Powers Booth as Vice President Noah Daniels, James Cromwell as Philip Bauer, Kim Raver as Audrey Raines, Gregory Izine as Charles Logan, William Devane as James Heller, John Smart as Martha Logan. Guest starring. Production: a shocking twist from the fourth episode was the detonation of a suitcase nuke that killed 12,000 civilians. The subsequent episodes, however, hardly showed any of the panic that would result from this. David Fury explained the development by saying that the intended writing direction kept fluctuating. In the early seasons of 24, the writers tried to map out stories and arc out stories beforehand a little bit more than they did, say, in seasons 4 and 5, and 4 and 5 turned out to be two of most successful seasons. The nuclear threat was diffused before the end of the season, leading to a story that was more personal for Jack. A panel of writers at Comic-Con said that they originally planned for Tony Almeida to return in the 6th season finale. A 10-minute prequel to the 6th season of 24 is available on the Region 1 version of the Season 5 DVD. The clip begins 7 months after Day 5 and shows the Chinese torturing Jack trying to learn the identity of a double agent in their ranks. What appear to be American covert ops soldiers break into the complex and free Jack, bringing him to a Chinese man named Hong Yi. As Jack flinches in recognition of Hong, the Chinese show up and thank Jack for identifying the double agent they had suspected all along. Cheng Zi then executes Hong. Additionally, an epilogue to Season 6 was released called 24, Debrief. It was first made available to American Express cardholders but was later released on the Season 6 DVD. Trailer. The original trailer for the sixth season opens with Kiefer Sutherland breaking the fourth wall and thanking the fans. The trailer features scenes from the first 4 episodes and sets Jack Bauer up to be sacrificed. It was released on October 24, 2006. Casting. Eddie Izzard was cast as Darren McCarthy but left the show after 1 day of filming. According to Izzard, producers wanted to option further dates, but he was unavailable due to working on The Riches. He was replaced by David Hunt. Reception. Some members of the production staff cite Season 6 as their most disappointing season. In a 2010 interview, Howard Gordon said, "I feel as though the story made a very wrong turn in Season 6. Also, when speaking about Season 7, Kiefer Sutherland said, "We hit a couple rough spots with a lot of our viewers in Season 6, and we really wanted to remedy that." Nevertheless, the season received many positive reviews, and holds a Metacritic score of 79 out of 100. For this season, Jean Smart received the Emmy nomination for Outstanding Guest Actress in a Drama Series and Kiefer Sutherland received his 6th nomination for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series. Award nominations, episodes, references. External links, list of 24 episodes at the Internet Movie Database, list of 24 Season 6 episodes at TV.com, Season 6 on 24 Wiki.